questions of the council of Margaret?
Margaret, how will this, we're talking the total cost, the engineer study, the cost of the bridge. How will this bridge bring a positive impact? You talked about the quality of life for the citizens. How is it going to impact the tourism trade? How is it going to help with the economic growth compared to the amount of dollars that would be spent to do the engineering and the bridge?
Well, that's a very good question. I can't guarantee that you're going to recoup your dollars in the next 2 years when this bridge is built, but I can guarantee for the next, in 10 years, you will have made a really positive impact on this whole area. Bringing people to the downtown, bringing people to Glen Rose, people are always looking for day trips to take from the Dallas Metroplex, the Fort Worth Metroplex. You can hold festivities on the bridge. You can hire it out for weddings. You can have music concerts there. I mean, this, like I say, it's the bridge to everywhere. It's the concept is limitless.
Right, playing the devil's advocate once again, and that's my, I guess, my lot on this council. These are some of the same remarks were made about the Phase 1 Riverwalk, which is beautiful. It does add a lot of aesthetic beauty, but we haven't seen those kind of things that you just talked about happening in the Riverwalk. We still, in fact, we're still paying on for $600,000. We're still on that note plus the Oakdale note. And well, so we're asking, so let me make sure. So you're asking for us to, for encompass all of it, you're asking us for probably another $250,000. That's our portion with the $990,000. If you do a $500,000 grant, we match 20 to 30% of it. You're talking $150,000 to $200,000. Is that what, am I right, correct in what you're asking?
I'm asking for you to be committed to up to 30% of the total cost of the bridge. I don't know what that is at this point.
But it's probably at least $1 million.
Yeah.
The total cost of the bridge.
But I would also like to say, with all due respect, Councilwoman Ramsey, not everything can be measured in monetary gain. Because we put the Riverwalk in, we didn't necessarily, or I didn't expect it to bring a huge amount of money to the downtown area and guarantee that all these shops in the square would be filled all the time. You know, sometimes you have to measure, you have to consider the quality of life for the people who live here. And the other things will come. But I cannot guarantee you that we're going to, again, fill all the shops down here because we have a pedestrian bridge. But the quality of life for people 50 and 100 years from now will be impacted, as well as 2 years from now, will be impacted because of the beautiful Riverwalk and the loop we're going to have around and going into the city of Glen Rose. So it's not all about monetary gain. It may be for you folks, but...
Well, from a business standpoint, and I'm not talking about the monetary gain now, I'm talking about the needs of the citizen and the maintenance that have to do with the city versus what we would love to have. And again, I'm for the bridge, but from a business practical standpoint, when I did my investigation, the prudency of us doing this whole impact, I'm not saying not do this engineer study, but the whole thing is that, you know, we've got issues right now that develop excuse me, directly affect the citizen. And one is that we've got to purchase land that has to do with fixing the flooding issue on Nancy Drive. There's going to be a need for 2 sewer lift pumps in the near future. The one on Grand Avenue does not even have the capacity to support, plus it's 20 years old, support the part of the city it's in with the new guardrail subdivision that's going in there. And And so when we build it, it's not something we can replace because it won't meet the standards. We'll have to buy land to put a new one on. Then, of course, when the development, these are things in the near 2-year future that I think all the citizens need to be aware of too. When the development of Longhorn Drive takes off, and there's also a possibility of annexation of this Rainbow Village, which extends past the golf course, we're gonna need land to purchase to put a water tank on, or either we're gonna have to run water lines from Longhorn Drive to the Rainbow area. And then we've also got to put the lift for the sewage, because that's what the lift thing is the sewage to be connected to the city. And so I just feel like personally for me, I'd like to see us get this first phase paid off and then go on to phase 2. And I just think it'd be more prudent for us to follow that route from a business standpoint as versus some of the things you're talking about.
Just remember, 70 to 80% of this bridge, we have the opportunity to get somebody else to pay for it. So, you know, everybody loves a good sale. Sometimes we have to capture the advantage when we've got it. I can't guarantee that they'll be offering this 5 years from now.
Other councilmen have comments? Councilman Margaret.
Yeah, Margaret, I know y'all put in a lot of time on this, and I appreciate it. I guess my thinking on it is about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, I know council, whenever we put the city and school and in the county, we put like 11,000, 11,500 and safe routes to school, safe sidewalks to school. And they was gonna get us a $500,000 grant. And we ended up getting nothing. And about the time we got it in there, they come back and said, well, the funds are dried up, there's no money left. And here we're talking about putting $93,000 up front. And I don't guess there's no guarantees, or there that we're gonna get this grant.
No, we're just putting ourselves in the very best light. And the reason I'm here now in October is so that we can give the engineers enough time to get a good report finished to spring on that grant the minute it's offered to the public.
We got kind of the same deal, if I remember right, from the grant writers on that safe route to school. And of course, 11,000, a lot of it is not near as much as 93,000, but it still hurts when you put money out there and you don't get nothing back. It's taxpayer money that you just lost. And I guess that's my biggest concern, is we're putting a lot of money out there and there's no guarantee we're gonna get it. That's all I got.
Yes. Other councilmen have a comment? Councilman Grant.
Of course, I want to say that I've been on board with the Riverwalk and the bridge since we started talking about it. There's no doubt about that. Some of my concerns, though, was definitely the cost. One of the things that just, it struck me right off the bat was, you know, let's not go the high dollar route for these bridges. I know it seems like it may be a historical type atmosphere venue for Glen Rose, but I was always thinking along the lines of something that's going to get us, that's functional. It's going to get us from one side to the other, as cheap as route as possible. And that would have been the, I guess, the prefabricated bridge we're looking at for the $300,000 at minimum. But one of my questions was on the grant, we're talking about a $1 million minimum. I think during our last meeting that the grant writer, excuse me if I'm wrong, had said that, or somebody from Textile had said that they were looking at a minimum of $0.5 million, $500,000 to get for the 70–80% tax approval.
You could be right. I did not capture that in my notes.
Yeah, it was.
But I know that the notes said something about looking for $1 million or above projects.
Okay. I remember them saying 0.5. They need at least 0.5 to get on board with the grant. So that's more along the lines of my way of thinking, is let's keep it to the minimum. Yeah, I know we're concerned about budgeting, for sure. We've got a lot, as Councilwoman Ramsey said, we've got a lot of issues to take care of. We've got a lot of upcoming projects that's really going to impact us. I've never thought the Riverwalk or the bridge to be a economic impact for Glen Rose, but I have thought it to be a good amenity for our citizens. And I'm all about, you know, making Glen Rose a better place to live in. One of my concerns would be, of course, the cost. And if we did, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if we did move forward to, you've got here as a step one is picking a bridge. If we just focused on one individual bridge and kept it to the minimum, would that reduce some of these costs?
Oh, yes, it would reduce the initial cost of $18,000 because the engineer would not be looking at 3 bridges, he would be looking at 1 bridge.
Right.
However, the prefab bridge that you're centered on
Right.
is a bridge that's going to require several piers within the riverbed. And that impacts the amount of land that needs to be taken away as mitigation property to keep from impeding the flow of the river. To say nothing of the fact that it's not as attractive.
Right. But I like the one, I mean,